the most famous UX book ever written, is built on a promise we can't actually keep anymore. It's a promise so fundamental that we spent 30 years taking it for granted. The idea that a user should be able to see how a system works. Welcome to Design Unhinged. I'm Patt. During my career, I've seen many systems that don't always want to show their teeth. Today, we're deconstructing why the invisible machine of AI is making our lives harder, why the industry is lying to you about frictionless design, and why Don Norman could be shaking his head right now. Back in 1988, Don Norman changed the game with the design of everyday things. He gave us the vocabulary for why some doors make us feel like idiots and why some stovetops just work. And to understand why we're in a crisis, we have to look at how we got here. Don Norman wasn't some Silicon Valley growth hacker. He was a cognitive scientist. When he wrote the book, he wasn't thinking about Figma or LLMs. He was looking at faucets, light switches, and those annoying vertical handles on doors that look like you should pull them, but they actually require a push. He taught us about mental models, the internal map we build to understand a tool. Good design builds that map using three things: affordances, signifiers, and feedback. The shape of the handle tells you pull. The click of a latch tells you it worked. And if there's a push sign, you know where to push. And traditional software are deterministic systems. This has been the golden rule of UX for decades. Input A always leads to output B. You click save, the file saves. You hit delete, the file goes away. Every single time. This predictability is what makes a user feel powerful. It's what makes a tool feel like an extension of your own brain rather than a stubborn coworker. But, and here is where the wheels fall off. This entire framework relies on the machine being legible. It relies on the designer being able to map every possible input to a visible output. And for 30 years, UX has been the art of making the invisible visible. But AI is a black box by design. It doesn't want to show you the math. It just wants to give you the magic. And in the world of design, magic is usually just a fancy word for I'm not going to tell you how I did that. Trust me, bro. Here's the thing. We've moved from command line interfaces where you had to know the exact code to point and click interfaces where you had to find the right button to now being intent-based interfaces. We don't tell the computer how to do something anymore. We just tell it what we want. On a slide deck at a tech conference, that sounds revolutionary. It sounds frictionless. But because AI is probabilistic rather than deterministic, we've introduced a level of chaos that traditional UX is not equipped to handle. In a deterministic world, 2 plus 2 is 4. In a probabilistic world, 2 plus 2 is usually 4, but just occasionally it's a picture of a 17th century peasant, and once in a while it's just a flat-out hallucination. So the user's mental model isn't just broken. There is none. When a user sends the exact same prompt to an AI twice and gets two wildly different results, they stop trying to understand the system. They stop learning. And instead, they start superstitious prompting. They start adding please or offering something because they're no longer using a tool. They're bartering with a digital deity they don't understand. As designers, we're effectively asking people to drive a car where the steering wheel sensitivity changes based on the AI's mood, but we haven't given them a dashboard. It's lazy, opaque, and frankly, it's shitty design. So let's talk about the consequence of that opacity. Trust is not something you just get because your UI is clean and uses a nice sans serif font. Trust is built through successful feedback loops. Think about an AI writing tool. You highlight a paragraph and click, make this sound professional. The AI proceeds and replaces your text in 200 milliseconds. It made 1,000 micro decisions in that blink of an eye. It swapped your active verbs to passive ones. Killed your voice. It removed the nuance you spent 20 minutes perfecting. But current UX trends tell us we should keep things minimal. So the interface just shows you the new text. No explanation. No, here's why I changed this word. So you lose agency. You're not a creator anymore. You're a vibe checker. You're just looking at the output and going, yeah, looks fine, I guess. And this is where the industry is failing us. If the users can't see the process, They can't learn from the tool. And if they can't learn, the tool is not empowering them. It's just de-skilling them. Good design should be intellectual clarification. It should make you understand your work better by showing you the boundaries. AI in its current magic button form does the exact opposite. It gives you a result without the journey. And journey is where the trust is built. If you take that away, you're just left with a high-tech slot machine. So how do we fix this without throwing our hands up and going back to 1988? The answer is not to make AI simpler. It's to make it more transparent. We need to stop designing for frictionless and start designing for understanding. We need to realize that sometimes a little bit of friction is actually a good thing if it helps the user build a better mental model. So we have to look at the designers who are actually doing the work. Anthropic's cloud shows a thinking block. It's a tiny UI element, but it's a massive UX win. It's a signifier that the machine is actually processing. It sets an expectation for the user. It tells them, hey, I'm working on this. It's complex, give me a second. Then if you look at tools like Cursor or GitHub's Copilot, when the AI suggests a code change, it doesn't just overwrite your file like a thief in the night. It shows a diff. It shows you exactly what is being added and what is being killed. It reintroduces mapping. It connects your intent to the outcome in a way that you can actually verify and learn from. We need to start designing confidence indicators. If AI gives us a medical summary or a legal analysis, the UI should visually show how sure it is. If it's guessing, it should look like it's guessing. We need explanation layers, sources, citations, and alternative interpretations. We need to move away from the clean interface obsession. For the last 10 years, the goal of UX was to hide the complexity under a layer of white space and rounded corners. But with AI, the complexity is the value. If you hide it, you're just selling a black box. But if you reveal it, you're selling a partnership. Don Norman didn't get it wrong. He just wrote the rules for a world where the machines were honest. AI is the first dishonest machine, not because it's malicious, but because its process is inherently invisible. Our job as designers has shifted. We used to be the architects of buttons and menus. Now we're the architects of trust. We are the storytellers who have to explain the why behind the what. If we keep chasing magic and frictionless interfaces, we're going to end up with a world of users who are basically just clicking "I'm feeling lucky" on every aspect of their professional lives. But if we embrace the invisible machine, if we find new ways to show the thinking, the uncertainty, and the logic, we can build something better than a smart tool. We can build a tool that actually makes the user smart. That's the goal here at Design Unhinged. If you're a designer tired of the black box hype and you want to actually build things that empower people, I want to hear from you. What's an AI tool you've used that didn't treat you like an idiot? What's a tool that actually showed you its work? Drop in the comments. And as always, here on Design Unhinged, we don't just design interfaces, we design understanding. I'm Patt. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.